What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today I am super happy to present to you guys the brand new DJI Osmo Action 3. And let me tell you something, this little camera is a beast. So about a month ago, DJI reached out to me and asked me if I was down to do the official release video of this new DJI Osmo Action 3. I've been working with DJI for quite a while now, working on a lot of different projects for the release of the Mavic 3, the DJI Air 2S, the DJI Pocket 2, the Action 2, the Mini 3 Pro and so on. But this time was the first time they asked me to do the official release video. So I was super stoked about it. It's very meaningful for me and for my work. So obviously I was down straight away, and it was a very ambitious project because we only had a month to produce the whole thing, shoot, edit, everything. And it was very ambitious because we had a lot of different extreme sports to shoot. We shot some freediving, some downhill riders, some freestyle motocross and some snowboarding. So I am super stoked with the result. You can find it on DJI's official channel. I'm gonna link it like somewhere right up there. And you can also find a slightly different version that I made for myself. It's a bit more cinematic, less talking about the specs, but more like with a cool voiceover, inspiring people to go out, shoot crazy stuff and so on. So you can find this one on my own YouTube channel. I will link it up there as well. Yeah, so since I've been shooting with this camera for over a month now, I really wanted to do a full in-depth review to tell you guys what I think about this little camera and the kind of stuff you can do with it. So yeah, let's start straight away with the body of the camera. So just like the DJI Action 2, it has a magnetic mount, meaning that you can just in a second clip it, then it's not moving. Don't be afraid of having it like falling or anything, because there are little clamps on the sides that hold it together, and you can just like put it on, boom, it's holding, then you just press the little clamps and it's going off. And now the new things that they did is that you can mount it like this, and when you have the cage on the camera, you can also mount it like this to shoot vertical for social medias, for Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. You can only mount it vertically when you have the little cage around it, because there's like a little cage like this. So when you take the camera out, you cannot mount it vertically, but you can still mount it horizontally and use it without the little cage. So that's the main thing about the body that I really like, because this mounting system is just so fast and so easy. You don't have to deal with screws or anything, and I really love it. As you can see, this new Osmo Action 3 is back to the, let's say, original Action camera shape compared to the Action 2. And also there are two touchscreens, one in the back and one in the front. So both screens are touchscreen, meaning that you can change the setting on both screens, which is pretty cool. Now maybe last thing about the body of the camera is like the doors. They are like super easy to open. Yeah, that's pretty cool, like pretty convenient on some Action cameras. Sometimes it's a pain to just open it and get the battery. Here it's like super easy, and I really like it. So now let's talk about the specs of the camera and the image quality. So this camera is recording 4K up to 120 frames per second, and to be honest, the image quality is looking really good. When you're shooting in nice lighting conditions, the image is just looking gorgeous. It's really good for such a tiny camera, and to be honest, this is the best quality I've ever had using an Action camera, and I'm really happy about it. Another cool thing is that you can shoot super slow motions with it. So you can shoot in 1080p up to 240 frames per second, allowing you to slow down the footage 8 times for like some super cool slow motions. I really dig that kind of footage. So the image quality when you shoot super slow motion is obviously not as good as when you shoot 4K, but it's definitely usable in the edit. Just make sure it's bright enough, because in low light it's not working that well. It's pretty grainy and image quality is not really good, but when you have good lighting conditions, definitely use it. Also, the field of view is 155 degrees, so it's like very wide. I think it's wider than the GoPro, for example. And you have different options that you can choose in the settings. So when you're shooting 4K 120, for example, you can choose between wide, which is like the normal kind of action camera look, or standard, which is like dewarping your image and making it look more like a normal kind of camera. For the release video, we mainly used wide, and then there's also another setting that we used a lot, is the ultra wide field of view, but this one can only be used when you shoot up to 4K 60. So with this one, it's like a super wide angle, which is really cool when you're super close to the action, which is the whole point of having an action camera. Also, for example, when you're shooting a POV, like when you're riding a bike or something, that way you see more of your hands on the handlebar and like the landscape in front, the bike and all that stuff. So it's really cool to have that super wide look. I really dig it. And then last thing about the specs, the white balance, the auto white balance is doing an amazing job. For the whole release video, we shot everything with automatic white balance, and no matter the conditions, it worked very well every single time. Now, next thing, another super important topic when we're talking about action camera is the stabilization. So they have a new stabilization system called Rocksteady 3.0. So when we were shooting with the downhill riders, these guys were nuts. They were going like so fast straight down the hills, and the camera did an amazing job stabilizing the footage. As you can see, there's the before and after footage without and then with the stabilization, and it's doing like an amazing job. I really like it. There's also another mode regarding the stabilization that is called Horizonsteady. So basically it's always going to keep your shot leveled. Even if you like lean the camera left or right, it's always going to stay leveled. The important thing to know is that when you shoot 4K, it's only working up to 45 degrees. So if you want the full 360 leveling, you have to shoot in 2.7K. That way, if you rotate the camera 360, your shot is gonna stay straight. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you like snowboarding or skiing and you have like a selfie stick and then you go for a backflip, then your shot is just gonna stay leveled and you're gonna rotate in the shot. So that's a pretty cool shot to do, for example, with the Horizonsteady. Okay, so now next part is the colors. This is a super important topic for me as a professional filmmaker. I'm always, that's the first question I ask. I'm like, okay, the camera is recording 4K and everything, but what's the color depth? So the color depth of this camera is 8-bit. So just like all the other action cameras, which is not like the best thing, because nowadays with like bigger full frame cameras, we're using 422 10-bit, allowing us to make like some much better color grading in post-production and push the colors much further. But listen to this. I've been talking to the engineers at DJI, and I know a lot of people will be stoked to hear this. They told me that within about a month and a half, they're gonna release a new firmware allowing you to shoot 422 10-bit colors on this DJI Osmo Action 3. And this is amazing, because then this camera is going to like a whole other level and it's becoming like a top professional camera that you can use in all of your project as a professional filmmaker, and without a doubt mix it with other cameras. Don't get me wrong, you can already do it. Like in the video I did, I mixed some shots from, of course, this camera, but I also mixed some close-ups and stuff shot on the Sony camera, the Sony full-frame cameras, and also the Red Komodo. And I've been able to make like the colors match and everything. But having 422 10-bit on an action camera has never been seen before. There's no action camera on the market that can do it. So I am so looking forward to it. And I think it's just gonna like be such a huge step up, and I'm really stoked about it. And yeah, so also just like on all the other DJI action camera and the DJI like smaller drones, you can shoot D-Cinelike, which is like the flat profile picture, allowing you to push the colors a little more in the post-production. So now let's move on to another topic that is super important for me, and this is the underwater footage. So this camera is waterproof to 16 meters without any accessory, meaning that you can just take it like this without any housing or whatever and go down to 16 meters. This is the action camera that allows you to go the deepest without any housing. And then if you want to go deeper, you can use the housing that allows you to go to 60 meters. So as we were shooting, I was asking the guys at DJI if I should like do manual white balance or keep it auto, and they were like, just keep it auto, it's gonna do the job. Because actually, if you look inside the O of the little logo here, Action 3, inside the O there's actually a sensor that is like looking at what you're filming, and that is doing the auto white balance based on it. I don't really know how it works, but what I can tell you is that it works very, very well. Like underwater, I was very impressed with the white balance. Straight off the camera, the white balance was looking really good, and then in post-production I've been able to push the colors and make it look even better. So that's a really, really good thing, and I was super, super impressed, because underwater, when you're shooting underwater, white balance is probably the most important thing, the most critical thing. And this camera is doing an amazing job in just auto white balance, which is super impressive. Another thing when you're shooting underwater is that once again the quick release thing is super convenient, because I'm using my main, like my big underwater rig with my big camera, and then I put the action cameras on top. And then the super cool thing is that, for example, if I saw a little animal like in between rocks and stuff, I couldn't like go closer because of my big rig, but then I can just take the camera in a second without any screws, whatever. I just take it and I can just go closer to the animal, and then boom, I just put it back on the mount, and it just takes a second. It works well, it's reliable, and I really like it. So now from the underwater, let's move on to another important topic for a lot of people, is the FPV. So of course, for the release video, we used the camera on an FPV drone, and it was doing an amazing job once again. I know a lot of FPV pilots use different software in post-production to stabilize the footage. For this, in all of the release video, I didn't stabilize any footage. I just took it straight off the camera, put it in Premiere Pro, and then started working with it without doing any stabilization, and it's just looking perfect to me. The 4K 120 is great, the image quality is crisp. You can just slow down the footage wherever you want depending on the action, then go back to normal speed. The color grading is working and looking really good. So yeah, it's a really, really good camera for FPV. And once again, the quick release is super convenient for FPV, because sometimes it's kind of a pain to have to like unscrew stuff and everything, especially on the FPV drone. But right now you can just screw this, use like a screwdriver to make it like really tight, and then you just leave the mount on your FPV all the time, and you just put the camera on and off, and that way it's just like super fast and super cool. So yeah, once again, the quick release design is super convenient. So as we're moving on now, let's talk about the battery. So once again, super impressed by the battery. It was working very well. According to the engineers at DJI, you can use the camera for 160 minutes with one battery, which is pretty impressive. And on the field while we were shooting, to be honest, I don't remember having had to change the batteries. I mean, we all had our own cameras, so I had like a couple of cameras for myself to shoot like some stuff from the ground. We had one camera on the FPV drone. We had one cameras on each riders and stuff. And for example, the riders, they were using the camera the entire day, shooting POVs and stuff. And just one battery would last the entire day, which is really impressive. And then another thing that is really cool is that they created this little battery case that is like super cool and super convenient. So first of all, it's allowing you to charge 3 batteries at once. So you just put all 3 batteries and then you plug it here with the USB-C. And also it's telling you the battery level. So there are a little LED for each of the battery. If it's green, it means that the battery is full. If it's orange, it's like halfway down. And then if it's red, the battery is empty. So that's pretty cool. You can just check the levels like straight away, and it's like super convenient as well. And it's also looking cool, like instead of having just batteries all around in your backpack, you just take these. You have 3 batteries, you just open it, check which one is green, then boom, you just swap it. That's a really cool thing. And also there's a fast charging that is allowing you to charge like the batteries like super fast. So that's super convenient if you're on the field, you're running out of batteries, you need to quickly charge it with a power bank, for example, then you just plug it in and in a few minutes it's just going to be charged. That is really, really cool. I really like it. All right, so now let's move on to the point that impressed me the most about this camera. It is the audio. The audio you get out of this camera, like straight out of the camera without using any microphone or anything, is absolutely stunning. It is amazing. It's really clear, really crisp. You can just use the camera, talk to it, don't need to deal with any microphone or anything, and you get a really, really good audio. Let me just show you an example right now.
It's gonna get sandy. By the way, the audio of the Action 3 is really good. We were impressed when we looked at the footage. It was yeah, like you have a big ass mic on the camera. It's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Like right now the audio is from the Action 3, no mics, nothing, just the Action 3. And all of the Action 3 footage where we're actually talking is all the audio. We never plug a mic in it, so it's really good, really good. Okay, about to send it now. Woo!
So as you've been able to hear, the audio is absolutely amazing on this little sequence. The audio was like straight off the camera, no post-production, nothing, and it's really, really impressive. They did an amazing job on the mics of this little camera. So now, just before moving on to the conclusion, I quickly want to compare this Osmo Action 3 to the GoPro 10 because I own a GoPro 10 as well, and people will be wondering like which one is the best and stuff. And straight away, I can tell you that the DJI Osmo Action 3 is way better than the GoPro 10 for different reasons, but there are like 4 main reasons to me that make this action camera a lot better than the competition. First one is the quick release thing. It's so convenient, it's so fast, it's reliable. You can put it like super quick. You can shoot vertical as well, and now for social media it's making like a big difference. So that's the very first thing. Then second thing, underwater there is no competition. This one is so much better than the GoPro. The white balance on the GoPro is very bad, like everything's kind of looking blue, so it's super hard to color grade it in post. You cannot like get the colors back or anything. On the Osmo Action 3, the auto white balance underwater is so good that then in post you can even make it look better, so you can definitely use the footage. That's a big winner for underwater, no doubt about it. And then, as I just said before, the audio on this camera is absolutely stunning. Once again, so much better than on the GoPro 10. You can take it, talk to it, use it as a vlogging camera, whatever, and that is absolutely stunning. And last thing that is making this camera even more crazy and taking it to like another level of cameras is the upcoming 422 10-bit colors, which is gonna be absolutely insane, and I cannot wait about it. All right, so to conclude, I can say that this is the best action camera I ever used without a single doubt. It's super cool to have like such a small little camera that is like so reliable. So from now on, I can say that I will always keep one in my backpack. Yeah. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you also enjoyed the release video I did for DJI. If so, it would be super cool to support by subscribing down below. If you have any questions or anything about the new DJI Osmo Action 3, leave a comment. I always read and reply to everyone, so if you have any question, I will be super happy to help. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!